Welcome back to King Talks with Mimi. Welcome to all of my Kingdomonians. And if you're new here, welcome to the kingdom. Don't forget to subscribe to the kingdom and become a Kingdomonian. Don't forget to like this video and please share my content. So, if I have any new subbies, Kingdomonians, welcome to the kingdom. Thank you for subscribing. And to all my returning subs, y'all, thanks for the love. Now, y'all, I just want to start off by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Have a great night, whatever time it is that you are currently watching this video, right? So today I want to address the topic. We're going to get into a little bit of what's popping, what's been going on, what's taken over YouTube, what's taken over, right? The internet. It's this Diddy and Cassie thing that's going on. Y'all, so I thought that I would come on here and we would get off into these court documents, all of the filings and all of the things that Miss Cassie has brought up against Diddy. So we're going to go ahead and read off into that and dissect it as much as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and ask you all to, comment and let me know what you think about everything that's going on. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to go ahead and get right into, what has the internet on fire right now. So what I am pulling up is, these are the documents that have all the info in it that Cassandra Ventura, I'm going to call her Cassie, she is the plaintiff and she versus Sean Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises LLC, DOE Corps 1 through 10. Cassie coming for all. Do you hear me? Cassie said, I'm putting cases on all of y'all. Cassie ain't playing, baby. She said, everybody getting this work. Do you hear me? Let's carry on. Y'all know that this has to be something real serious. When the front of the damn documents have a trigger warning, do you hear me? A trigger warning in bold red letters. Trigger warning. This document contains highly graphic information of a nature, including assault. Whew. And let me just go ahead and tell y'all that all of this, let me put up my alleged banner and all of the things, honey. Let me go ahead and get myself right. And then we're going to go ahead and continue. But as you can tell at the bottom of my screen, my banner, I already have the trigger warning and all of that for anybody. Yeah, just to let y'all know. Now, let's go ahead and start reading and getting off into the stuff. And I may skip around a little bit. That's just what I do. And for those of y'all that are new to the Kingdomonian, to the Kingdomonians, the kingdom, I'm a commentary channel. So I do stop and talk and give and commentate, give my opinion. I don't just read and watch videos straight through. No, I got to talk and tell you what I think. I got to talk my talk, honey. Yeah. So plaintiff Cassandra Ventura, Miss Ventura, we're going to call her Cassie Child, hereby alleges as and for her complaint against defendant Sean Combs, Mr. Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, blase, blase, blase. Honey, why she started off with this preliminary statement, giving Diddy his flowers before, girl, she give him the flowers right before she getting ready to wear him out, baby. She said, let me go ahead and give you these roses right now, baby, because you finna get this work on the back end. You hear me? Sean, let's get off into it. So the preliminary statement says defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and record executive, popularly known by his stage names Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Diddy, right? Mr. Combs came to fame in early 1990s with his record label Bad Boy Records, and he rose in the music entertainment. Number two, in 2022, Mr. Combs received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards, and he made an acceptance speech, y'all. The acceptance speech that Mr. Combs said, I have to give a special shout out. thank you, love to the people that was really there for me. He named a number of people. Do y'all remember Carisha was over there holding up that sign, baby, that said, what did it say? Go Poppy or something? He didn't say, he didn't shut you out, Carisha. Don't worry about it, niece. But he named a number of people before adding, and also Cassie for holding me down in the dark times, love. Right there, yeah, right there, people. Right there. For holding me down in the dark times, baby. That's because he knew he had been with this woman how many years, baby? While he was in a relationship with her, and who knows else, baby. His dark times, aka fighting these demons over here and losing every damn fight with the demons, baby. And he gave her a damn thank you for. Are you kidding me? A shout out thank you after all the alleged, I'm sure all the things that this woman has been through with him has caused PTSD. She's, all kind of emotional, psychologically, however you say it, y'all. Um, all of the things, like her mind is probably, emotions, physical scarring, like who knows what she's been through with him. Like, yeah. So let's just move along. So number 3, the truth, however, is that Cassie, Miss Cassandra Ventura, was held down by Mr. Combs and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands. For Cassie, the dark times in quotations, charm, were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and trafficking. Among other violent, unlawful acts, Mr. Combs. Charm, we finna go through these bullet points. The bullet points, y'all. Yeah, Mimi not saying some words, just baby, read the room, pick up what I'm dropping off, and we're gonna keep it moving, okay? So, our Miss Ventura, Cassie, in her own home after she tried to leave him. The second bullet point, often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on Cassie, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Like, and Cassie is a petite girl, like she's small. She was over there taking sure. And when them ninjas over there battling them demons, baby, and they going through withdrawals, or girl, that they over there pumped up, feeling like they could fly in the sky like an eagle. Literally, oh baby, they strong as girl, they as strong as a girl, a hog. I don't know. Blew up a man's car after he learned that I'm pretty sure they meant to say she, shut over there playing on Diddy top, honey, learned that she, I'm assuming, was romantically interested in Cassie, forced Cassie to engage in acts with male workers while enjoying himself and filming the encounters. Now, Diddy, what would make you go around there and child? That's what get the rocks off and kick the socks off. Is you over there seeing her with another gentleman? What would make you, Diddy? Diddy? Now, is it Carisha or Santana? Ran out of his apartment with the firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he learned was nearby. Demanded that Miss Ventura carry his blank blank in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduce Miss Ventura or Cassie to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol, yeah, substance, and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. Now, let's keep it moving. Number 4, Cassie met Mr. Combs in 2005 when she was 19 years old and he was 37 years old. He signed her to his label. That's how he lured her in, baby, with all the bells and whistles and what he got going on, because he's 37 and she's 19. Like, can you imagine this super grown man, and then he's powerful in your eyes? So yeah. So let's keep going on. He signed her to his label, Bad Boy Records, and within a few years lured Miss Ventura into an ostentatious, fast-paced, and blank-fueled lifestyle and into a romantic relationship with him, her boss. One of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry and a vicious, cruel, and controlling man, nearly 2 decades her senior. Number 5, Mr. Combs asserted complete control over Cassie's personal and professional life, thereby ensuring her inability to escape his hold. Oh my God, he provided unprecedented avenues for success for the aspiring artist, but in return, he demanded obedience, loyalty, and silence. That is a huge ticket price to pay. And in return, you get to, yeah, enjoy his offerings, what he has to offer you on the good side, what could actually be in your benefit. But look what you damn near having to sell your soul to the devil. Because are you kidding? Loyalty, he not even, who is he loyal to? Nobody but himself, I'm sure. That is that's almost like selling your soul to the devil. And girl, the devil finna be over here deviling. He gonna be over here fighting demons, and you just finna be over here getting all this brutal treatment and all of the fight and all the things going on just so you could put out a couple of albums or two in peace. Like that's what she, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So number 6, throughout the relationship, Mr. Combs was prone to uncontrollable rage and he frequently beat Cassie savagely. These beatings were witnessed by Mr. Combs' staff and employees of the record label and Mr. Combs' related businesses, but no one dared speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. They weren't gonna say nothing because the money was probably coming in, and not even that. Like apparently, P Diddy he runs around like he's really the man in the city, like like on some ghost in power type of carrying on. You hear me? So, and I'm pretty sure that his staff, of course they were scared. They seen what he can do, what he could do. We don't even now what child. Let's carry on. Number 7, following these episodes of horrific abuse, Mr. Combs would immediately attempt to hide Cassie and the evidence of his violent rage. So after he would sit over there and attack her and succumb her to all of this physical abuse and all of the things, and him just, fighting the demons and fighting with her and tussling with her and just throwing her, punching her, kicking her, all of the things. He would hide her there right after, and then he often showered her with gifts following all of these physical violence events, these events that took place. After all of that, he would shower her with gifts. Now, number 8. In addition to the physical assaults, Mr. Combs frequently reminded Miss Ventura of his ability to cause serious harm, whether by requiring her to carry his pow pow in her purse or by blowing up the car of a musician that was romantically interested in Ventura. And the streets are saying, child, that's Kid Cudi, baby. Kid Cudi had somebody come out the woodworks and be like, yeah, tell him that's true. That's the green line. That's what it was. Number 9, adding insult to injury, Mr. Combs used illegal substances and threats of violence to force Cassie into repeated unwanted blank encounters with male child. Baby, this started. Hold on, that's kind of like someone's child. That's illegal. Sir, you can't do that, sir. Like, it's a law against that. You can't do. Number 10, over the years that Mr. Combs abused Miss Ventura physically and sexually, she again and again tried to escape his tight hold over her life. Every time she hid, Mr. Combs' vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her, and those who worked for Mr. Combs' companies implored her to return to him. Can you imagine? You trying to hide from your abuser, your attacker? You just trying to get away, hide, get to safety so you can clear your mind and figure out your next step. But you have all of his workers calling you, tracking you down. Come back, come back. You need to come back. You need to come back over here and take some more of these beatings and bammas and all of the things. Why? Because he wants you to. What? Many went as far as to explicitly state that her failure to return to Mr. Combs would hinder her success in the entertainment industry. Now, hold the hell up right there. How many damn albums do Cassie got out? How many albums was released under Bad Boy Records? Sure. I wait. Somebody name me damn top 5 songs. Sure. Number 11. When she believed that she had finally separated from her longtime abuser, she joined Mr. Combs. So after she got away good, she got away, she free, she trying to figure out what's going on. Child, she done calmed down, the bruises, webs, everything that went down. Whew. He lured her back in, baby. He said, meet me for some dinner. Let's talk it out. I'm out my body and I'm crazy, but I'm sorry. So she joined Mr. Combs for a dinner, after which he forced her into her home and blanked her while she repeatedly said no and tried to push away. And that's against the law too, because I don't care if we on a split, if we broke up, you my boo, but I'm mad at you right now. No means no. I don't care if we're currently in a situation. I don't care if we're on the cusp of breaking up. I don't care if you're on one side of the room, I'm on the other side of the room. You ask and I said no. No means no. You don't have to be, you don't, even if you're in a relationship. No means no. You can't do that. That's against the law, honey. Number 12, Miss Ventura has now fully escaped Mr. Combs, but the harm that the assault and blank abuse has caused her to experience for nearly a decade will forever haunt her. And as I'm sure, nearly a decade of taking all of this abuse and physical, emotional, all of the things. Can you imagine? Forever will haunt her. She's probably triggered anytime she sees this man's face or hears this man's name. She probably triggered if she see Carisha. She has required intensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. 13. She cannot, however, continue to live in silence about what has endured. Mr. Combs remains immensely powerful and immensely dangerous. Miss Ventura therefore seeks justice for the decade of her life that Mr. Combs took away from her with his threats of violence, excessive use of the physical and psychological abuse, and the last one, baby, she said a little bit of XES, slavery. Which, you know what, from reading what I've read so far, yeah, that's the right term to use. That's the right term to call it. Number 14, accordingly, Miss Ventura brings this action-seeking, injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against defendants in violation of blue, blue, blue. You can continue to read right there. I'll leave it up for a little bit. Y'all already probably have read this somewhere else, have heard it, seen it, talked about on other channels, I'm sure. Sure. Now let's move along. Parties. Number 17, plaintiff Cassandra Ventura is a resident of the states of California and Connecticut and was employed by defendants Bad Boys. So she was an employee, right? Number 18, defendant Sean Combs, upon information and belief, resides within the state of California. Child, we're going to skip past 19, 20, 21, 22. Let's just move on down to the factual allegations. Number 1, teenaged Miss Ventura meets middle-aged Mr. Combs as her career begins. I don't care what nobody say. These older men that be crushing on these I don't care if the niggas just be in their late 30s, early 40s. Y'all over here crushing on the newfound the newfound popular girl basketball player, the new popping rapper, I think it's weird. It's weird, and it could be a little bit side eyes. Like, hold on, like it's weird for women. It's weird on both ends for a man and a woman. It at a certain age, within a certain age gap. To me, in my opinion, I think it's weird and I think it's inappropriate. Let's continue. Number 24, Miss Ventura met Mr. Combs in the late 2005, early 2006, after Mr. Combs heard Miss Ventura's first single playing in a club and expressed interest in signing her to his label. 25. At the time, Miss Ventura was 19 years old. Mr. Combs was 37. We read this up earlier in the documents. Number 26. Within months, in February 2006, Miss Ventura signed a 10 album deal with Mr. Girl, how fast was you gonna be over there pumping out them records? How fast was you gonna be? 10 album deal? Oh, niece, a girl. There was no escaping Lucifer. Do you hear me? Number 27. Miss Ventura's first album, Cassie, was released in 2006, debuting at number 4 on the US Billboard 200. 28. To promote the album, Miss Ventura made television appearances on MTV's Total Request Live and BT's 106 & Park. Miss Ventura suffered from significant performance anxiety during these appearances, and press outlets were highly critical of Miss Ventura's performances on these shows. Oh my God. Like, to add on top of everything she's already going through, then where we at? Number 29. Mr. Combs, however, sought to rehabilitate his newly signed talent, telling MTV News, "You could hear the nervousness in her voice." And to be honest, I kind of smiled at it because it made me really appreciate what I really love about her. She's a regular person. And he just went on, baby, to give a little child to give his little spiel and, make his little announcement, blah, blah, blah. Number 30, while clearly paternalistic in noting that it was cute to him how quote unquote regular Miss Ventura appeared, Mr. Combs' comments rang true to some extent. Upon signing with Bad Boy Records, Miss Ventura was quickly thrust into the spotlight and was unfamiliar with how to navigate her new celebrity status. She was just thrown in there, because she was quote unquote regular, as he has said. Number 31, Mr. Combs' recognition and glorification of Miss Ventura's native proved to set the groundwork for his manipulative and coercive romantic and sexual relationship with Mrs. Ventura, a woman nearly 2 decades his junior, right? Number 32, within a year of signing with Bad Boy Records, Mr. Combs deeply entrenched in Miss Ventura's life, almost immediately asserting possession and control over her. Do y'all kind of get that from watching Carisha, or him with Carisha, or how Carisha's life has changed even more so since she's been attached to Diddy? Do y'all kind of see him taking over? God, Suge told us, come over to death row. That way you ain't got to worry about a damn your producer. You ain't got to worry about the ninja dancing all in your rap videos, going up to accept awards with you and making an announcement speech on your behalf. Suge told us that Diddy was a Limelight 304. Suge told us, he said, y'all want to worry about that? Come over here to death row, baby. And you could kind of get that from watching him with Carisha. Like, girl, she can't make a song without this ninja popping up in the background. Like, who that? What's going on? Without him doing a little nasty Diddy bop. And I'm pretty sure, like, because her appearance has changed, her dress has changed, her style has changed somewhat. I'm pretty sure he has a strong hand in it because, baby, you got to protect your investment. You have to protect your investment. If that's just my opinion, that's what I think. Number 33. In November 2006, Mr. Combs invited Miss Ventura to perform his song "Come to Me" along with him at the MTV Europe Music Awards in Copenhagen, Denmark. After rehearsal for his performance, Mr. Combs walked around in a robe with a drink in his hand, flaunting his lavish party lifestyle to his label's newly signed artist. So there he is over there showing her, hey, this is me. I'm the man. I'm sitting on top. I can make this become your reality. I can make things happen for you. This way you need to be. Number 34. During hair and makeup leading up to the performance, Miss Ventura's hairstylist and Mr. Combs' makeup artist told Miss Ventura that Mr. Combs was quote unquote interested in Miss Ventura. Cassie shrugged off the gossip and, in fact, expressed disgust, giving the large age gap between her and the president of her record label. Girl, I'm with you. I would have been like, what? Child, somebody don't come around here and get their granddaddy. I'm not, no, sir. Old men have worms. No, I'm not doing it. I won't go. Child, she already had her mind made up that she didn't want a sugar grandpappy. Child. Number 35, emphasizing the age and power dynamic early on in their working relationship, Mr. Combs positioned himself as a father figure and protector of Miss Ventura. By way of example, after returning to New York after a trip to Las Vegas, during which she endured a brief hospital stay, Miss Ventura, who by then was fully healthy, went out to a club with her friends. Now, when Mr. Combs saw her out, he reprimanded her, telling her to go home and take care of herself. At the time, Miss Ventura thought the record label was looking out for her well-being and that Mr. Combs had her best interest in mind. So she's like, okay, cool. He's looking out for me. He's like, it's my boss. He's just protecting me. I appreciate that. I'm going home. He's right with this one. Number 36, Mr. Combs also ensured he was intertwined with Miss Ventura's personal and social life, for instance, by inviting himself to Miss Ventura's 21st party in Las Vegas. He also brought along famous musicians and producers, thereby flaunting his celebrity status and influence in front of a young and impressionable Cassie. Number 37. Although Mr. Combs knew that Miss Ventura was in a relationship at the time, and even though he was publicly in a relationship with Kim Porter, his baby mama, whom he never married her, sure, Mr. Combs nevertheless pursued Miss Ventura. He's like, I don't care. I'm still going for what I know. Kim will be here. I'm going over there to get Cassie. At an after party in a hotel suite following Miss Ventura's 21st birthday party, Mr. Combs pulled Cassie into the bathroom and forcibly kissed her. Now, Miss Ventura did not consent to this unwanted contact. She did not consent. She did not tell him, come here, bring them lips to me, kiss me. She did not a such thing. It was unwanted. She didn't want him to do it. She immediately ran out of the bathroom and the hotel suite and cried. She told her best friend at the time about what had happened, but was too scared to tell anyone else. But it's perfect that she told the best friend because, girl, you got a witness. I mean, granted that your best friend is still, here with us, walking amongst the earth. She could testify if you need her be. Number 38. At the Video Music Awards the following day, Miss Ventura's boyfriend at the time joined her and Mr. Combs at a table at the award ceremony. Mr. Combs became angry, telling Miss Ventura that the invitation to the award ceremony was only for her, not her significant other. Oh my God, can you imagine you there with your man? Y'all they're the same age. Y'all ain't no damn 17-year gap. None of the thing in between y'all. Like there's nothing. Y'all the same age. Y'all got a lot in common. So yeah, you could come to it's work. You could come to this work dinner with me. I'm here with my coworkers and my boss. Why couldn't you come? Sure. Mr. Combs lures Miss Ventura into a relationship. Number 39. Despite her clear rejection of Mr. Combs' advances, Mr. Combs continued to demand Miss Ventura spend time with him, including for a weekend at Mr. Combs' residence in Miami and 4 nights out in New York City. Number 40. On one particular night around September 2007, Mr. Combs insisted on taking Miss Ventura out. Miss Ventura was fearing the rejection. Mr. Combs' request would have repercussions for her album deal with Mr. Combs and his company, right? So she had to go. She couldn't say, no, I don't want to go. Even though that's how she felt, but she couldn't do it, right? She didn't want that to affect her forthcoming music career, right? 41. Mr. Combs picked up Miss Ventura from her apartment in Manhattan in a blue luxury vehicle. Miss Ventura was surprised when she got in the car. Mr. Combs was already inebriated. Do you hear me? Inebriated off of what? Good. The list right here, but girl, 42 gonna give us a good little rundown, baby. 42. He handed her a pill and told her to take it. Not rolling off a beam in the great words of Kodak Black. I can't even go to sleep. I can't even roll it. When Miss Ventura asked what the pill was, Mr. Combs dismissed her and told her she would like it. Take it. You'll like it. I do it all the time. She later learned that the pill was, that's what it was. Something Miss Ventura had never before tried and did not want to try. This was the first time Mr. Combs got Cassie high. You know, she was forced to take it. She had to. She's in the back of her mind, how keep still thinking about the music career that can be if she would ingest the pill. 43. Mr. Combs then proceeded to drive recklessly at very high speeds down the West Side Highway of Manhattan. Miss Ventura was very scared but did not dare to object to Mr. Combs, who appeared drunk, high, and agitated. Can you imagine? Because there's no telling what went on at the house that he had done prior to getting that blue luxury car to come pick her up. Can you imagine? Sure. Number 44. Mr. Combs took Miss Ventura to an upscale lounge in downtown Manhattan, where he proceeded to get into an altercation with the security staff who would not permit Sean to enter, presumably because he was over there being belligerent. Cassie decided to go home, but for the remainder of the night, child, when I tell y'all, Diddy messaged Cassie complaining that she left him alone and high. Baby, he just knew it was finna go down. But the fact that she left him, he messaged her all night. Sir, you gonna have to choke your own chicken. That's what it gave that night. Number 45. In early fall 2007, Mr. Combs flexed his powerful and influence when he paid a promoter to create a fake flyer for a party hosted by Miss Ventura. The fake posting allowed Miss Ventura to have an excuse to go to Miami, Florida, and to get away from her boyfriend by using this legitimate event she had to attend. Miss Ventura was stunned at how easily Mr. Combs was able to recruit others to lie for him, but she was stunned, baby, at his manipulative ways, at the level of manipulative. Do you hear me? The manipulation level that this man has, I'm pretty sure knocked her off her feet. Number 46. Miss Ventura was uncomfortable with the fake flyer, but because the request to go to Miami was made by the owner of her record label, and because she was scared to go against his wishes and face repercussions to her career, Miss Ventura agreed to join Mr. Combs in Florida. 47. During the trip to Miami, Mr. Combs provided Miss Ventura with large amounts of drugs, and she became more intoxicated than she had ever been before. And her intoxication lasted throughout the entire weekend trip. The entire weekend. How many days in a weekend, people? That's how long this girl was out her body. Unwillingly out her body. As she wanted Mr. Combs to continue to support her career, she felt she could not refuse Mr. Combs, urging her to take more. Yeah. After providing her with what he thought she needed, Mr. Combs had sexual intercourse with Cassie during the trip. Now, we just read that she was under the influence unwillingly. And so, do y'all think that she was in her right mind to consent to the XES with Sean? Do y'all think? I mean, if she over there out of her body for an entire weekend, she's not able to consent to anything. So yeah, I would say that it gave our word. 48. Within 2 years of meeting Mr. Combs, Miss Ventura found herself lured into the immediate circle of her boss, the owner of her record label, and one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. Do y'all not remember? y'all know Aubrey O'Day. Aubrey O'Day, I follow her on social media. And some of the stuff I believe and some of the stuff I don't now, baby. Aubrey, girl, She had been trying to tell us and warn us about some things, honey. Um, I didn't believe everything, but baby, Aubrey was sitting around with all of the damn all them blonde damn clip-ins, sew-ins, the high density wigs sitting in her head, weaves, all the things saying, I told y'all. Sure. Mr. Combs exerts control over Cassie's career and personal life. Number 49. From the very start of their relationship, Mr. Combs exerted his power and influence over Cassie. This dynamic was fueled by nearly 20 by their nearly 20-year age difference, as well as their relative positions in the entertainment industry, with Mr. Combs considered a music mogul and Cassie at the very start of her career as an entertainer. 50. Mr. Combs' aggressive and demanding approach to those who worked with made it impossible for anyone to challenge him. And Cassie soon learned that Mr. Combs insisted on blind loyalty from everyone in his inner circle. Although Cassie had saved up some earnings from her young modeling career, Diddy's ostentatious display of wealth was intimidating her. Do y'all think that it's because she knew that he had way more money than her, and so like she was just so intimidated that she just couldn't see a way, like she was bogarted, right? He boss hogged his way. Okay, so Mr. Combs' ostentatious display of wealth was intimidating to her. Okay, 52. Mr. Combs paid for things with quote unquote wads of cash and would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura, "Don't worry about money. I have money." 53. Mr. Combs expensed lavish vacations for him and Miss Ventura, purchased a car for her, paid for her apartment, and provided her with extensive amounts of designer clothing, all which could be taken away when he says. So even though she had access to these things, it was limited access because he controlled it all. At the drop of a dime, baby, whenever he got to feeling himself or he wasn't feeling her no more, he could take it all away. So she was never to get comfortable and actually think that she owned herself or her own life or the things, the material things that were given to her in her life. 54. And that's just in my opinion. 54. Around 2008 or 2009, Mr. Combs began to rent an apartment in Manhattan for Miss Ventura. The apartment was within walking distance of Mr. Combs' New York residence. Girl, right down the street from his actual residence. He first showed Miss Ventura the apartment by bringing her there along with her parents. Cassie's parents were skeptical of the mogul's display of wealth, but they were also proud of their daughter's newfound success. 55. Around 2010, Mr. Combs similarly paid for an apartment for Cassie in Los Angeles, which was located about 5 minutes away from Diddy's residence. Again, he paid for many of her apartments in California and also purchased a Jaguar for her around 2013 or 2014. 56. All aspects of Cassie's life were controlled either by Sean or his management companies. Every event Cassie attended, from the travel to the makeup and the clothing, was paid directly by Mr. Combs and his affiliate companies. 57. Compounding this all encompassing intrusions into her life, Mr. Combs secured his control over the young and impressionable Miss Ventura by introducing her to a UGG-fueled lifestyle that kept her complacent and compliant. He kept her high but functionable, from what I'm seeing, from what I'm reading. Mr. Combs first introduced Miss Ventura to blanks around 2008 and would often have pills and other things out in the open, quote unquote, like candy. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs had been addicted to prescription painkillers, and he's also taken the feel-good pill frequently. Sure. That's what's in the documents, baby. That's what she alleged, Charles. 58. At first, Miss Ventura was given the prescriptions that Mr. Combs received from a doctor in Miami, Florida. Eventually, when Mr. Combs exhausted his supply of pills, he demanded that Miss Ventura procured prescriptions from this Miami doctor in her own name. So once he had wore out his welcome and the well ran dry for him, he said, okay, it's your turn. You go over there. You go get what we need. What can you imagine? Against her will? We know, right? This is against her will. Against her will, she's unwillingly, but forced to. I'm sure. 59. Mr. Combs also became deeply involved in Miss Ventura's personal life, with his personal staff attending to Miss Ventura's day-to-day travel and other needs, including medical care. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura's personal medical records sent directly to his email. Diddy had Cassie's medical records sent directly to his email. Oh, babe, I'm putting cases on all of y'all. Are you kidding me? Girl. Did you did you sign a release of information to allow? I'm pretty sure you had to, right? You had to sign a release of information acknowledging, giving permission for him to view your medical records. Like that's what I'm assuming, but we don't know. For instance, when Miss Ventura began experiencing memory loss, potentially due to excessive use or head injuries caused by Mr. Combs' beatings as described below, her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. Oh my God. So she was over here experiencing memory loss and all of the things due to taking the drugs over there, and then him beating on her. Baby, she was suffering memory loss because of that. So her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also repeatedly arranged for his staff to drive Miss Ventura to certain doctor's appointments. 60. In this way, Mr. Combs exerted ownership over Miss Ventura. As another example of the ways in which he manipulated Miss Ventura and ensured obedience early on in their relationship, he asked Miss Ventura what she called her grandfather. When Miss Ventura said that she referred to her grandfather as Pop Pop, Mr. Combs perversely insisted that Miss Ventura refer to him with that nickname. Call me Pop Pop as well. Sick. From the S to the K. Sick. Next, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura's relationship becomes violent and abusive. 61. What started as a whirlwind of celebrity meetings, drug and alcohol-fueled parties, however, quickly turned frightening and violent. Miss Ventura was also exposed to the intense violence that pervaded Mr. Combs' rise to fame. For example, on one occasion when Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura were over there using their candy together in his home, one of his security staff barged in and announced that Suge Knight, a longtime rival of Mr. Combs, was spotted at the Mel's drive-in diner in Los Angeles. Mr. Combs began to get dressed, retrieved his multiple pal-pals from his safe, and ran out of his home to where he believed Mr. Knight was dining. Miss Ventura became terrified and began to cry. So everybody over here saying Suge was a big bad wolf. That is Suge, is Suge, is Suge. Sure. Huh. Interesting. 63. On at least 2 occasions, Mr. Combs demanded that Miss Ventura hold Mr. Combs' pow-pow in her purse. Miss Ventura had no familiarity with pow-pows and was petrified that the fire pow-pow would accidentally go off in her purse. There was no clear reason why Mr. Combs required her to hold his pow-pow except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous. So he said, baby, I'm a thug. I'm about that life. Very traumatic for her. I'm sure very traumatic, especially as a young lady, to go through that and experience all the, I just want to say, like, applaud to her bravery, standing ovation for her coming forward, taking back her freedom, and saying something and speaking up. And y'all, I bet my left baby toe, watch how many people follow suit and come along with their stories and come about the woodworks. 64. Over the next decade, multiple times each year, Mr. Combs would violently beat Miss Ventura, leaving bruises on her body. After every instance in which he beat Miss Ventura, Mr. Combs would use his money and power to orchestrate extensive efforts to hide the evidence of his abuse, including by hiding Miss Ventura in hotels for days at a time to let her bruises heal. Oh, wow. 65. In one such instance, after a party with Jay-Z, Mr. Combs beat Miss Ventura repeatedly in an Escalade, including by kicking and hitting her. He forced her out of the vehicle on Fifth Avenue in New York City. She was eventually able to hail a cab and get to her apartment in Manhattan, where she cried in fear, realizing there was no one she could tell about what happened at the hands of this incredibly powerful man. Y'all, she spent subsequent 3 days hiding in her apartment. She spent 3 days hiding in her apartment. 3 days. 3 days in hiding. And I wonder if while she was in hiding for 3 days, how many other people of his staff or his people called her and tried to tell her, okay, you need to come back, or was trying to strong arm her, telling her, come back, come back, come back. Or I wonder if she got to hide in peace for those 3 days. 66. In January 2009, after Mr. Combs learned that Ventura spoke to another music manager at a party in Los Angeles, he became enraged. She had hoped speaking to this manager would allow her to further grow her career and that Mr. Combs would be happy for her. But instead, he became extremely angry and pulled her out of the club where the party was taking place. 67. In the car, leaving the club, Mr. Combs beat Miss Ventura, pushing her into the corner of the vehicle and stomping her face. Mr. Combs' security staff, Roger Bonds, tried to stop the beating, but was unable to de-escalate the situation. Roger, you tried, but you failed. And that they gonna put a case on you too, Mr. Bonds? Sure. When the car arrived at Mr. Combs' residence, Miss Ventura attempted to run away, but Mr. Combs followed her and proceeded to again kick her in the face. Miss Ventura was bleeding profusely and was ushered into Mr. Combs' home, where she began to throw up from the violent assault. Like that, all of the trauma and all of the things that her body was going through at that time and given moment, like her body couldn't take it. It couldn't take it. Such a violent assault that she had to experience, and she's over here vomiting, throwing up due to the trauma that her body just suffered from. 68. Upon recognizing the damage she had done and the physical evidence of his abuse, Mr. Combs panicked and forced his staff to take Miss Ventura to a hotel suite at the London Hotel in Los Angeles, where she was required to stay for a week. Oh my God. So she was shipped off to a hotel to stay for a week while her bruises healed. But I'm pretty sure this was quote unquote his normal procedure. Once he beat her down or whatever, then he shipped her off to go heal and come back and get ready for round two. Sick. So sick. 69. During this day, as her injuries from the beating healed, Miss Ventura began to fully realize that Mr. Combs' tremendously loyal network not only knew about and witnessed his assault, but also that these witnesses were not willing to do anything meaningful to stop Mr. Combs' behavior. She recognized that she was powerless and that reporting Mr. Combs to the authorities would not alter Mr. Combs' status or influence, but merely give Mr. Combs another excuse to further hurt her. So, therefore, she kept quiet. 70. While in the hotel, she asked to go to her parents, but Mr. Combs wouldn't let her leave. So she lied to her mother when asked about an online gossip forum that reported the assault. So she had to lie to her mom and say, no, everything's cool. 71. Mr. Combs proceeded to instruct his assistant to purchase excessive amounts of gifts for Mr. Ventura, which were delivered to the hotel room where she remained trapped. Can you imagine? I'm in a room, suffering in silence, I'm feel like I'm trapped in my own body, baby. It's probably the beatings, the bruises, the trauma. We don't know if she was bleeding internally. Like we don't even know. But you done came over here, baby. The wrist is swole up, and you want to put a Van Cleef around the wrist. You done brought me every damn Chanel robe. We got damn Chanel blankets, all of the things going on over here. All of the designer. Can you imagine? I'm not able to enjoy any of this because look what it's costing me. Look what all of that is costing me. Damn near my life. That's what it's costing me. Sure. 72. Miss Ventura was terrified, isolated, and unable to see a pathway out of Mr. Combs' abusive hold on her life. 73. She found herself becoming numb to the abuse she was experiencing and became entirely beholden to Mr. Combs' demands. She began to blindly follow his instructions out of fear of again being on the receiving end of a vicious beating. But 74. By Mr. Combs' own admission, his relationship with Miss Ventura was like quote unquote Bobby and Whitney. What? That's what you aspired a Bobby and Whitney? Because we all know what was fueled by their relationship. A clear acknowledgement of the unequal power dynamic and excessive domestic violence that permitted their relationship. From the outside looking in, Miss Ventura had heard others refer to her relationship with Mr. Combs as Ike and Tina. Girl, Ike was over there slapping Tina, eat the cake, girl. Now I don't know, y'all, which one is worse, Bobby and Whitney or Ike and Tina? Sure. Rest in peace, y'all. 75. The volatile and abusive partner who also owned her label and therefore held her future success in his hands had fully exerted control over every aspect of her life. Now we're going to move on into Mr. Combs forces Miss Ventura into XES trafficking. 76. Within a few months of beginning a romantic relationship with 40-year-old Mr. Combs, the 22-year-old Miss Ventura felt beholden to his whims and demands. 77. While in New York City, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he wanted to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism. Sure. Mr. Combs said that it would quote unquote turn him on if he saw Miss Ventura with another magic stick. Now, Diddy, why they had turned you? Why would that turn you on, Diddy? For you to see her over there with taking another magic stick, why would that turn you on? Interesting. Now, Diddy, you know, baby, the people been playing on your top and they've been saying something, girl, all that's in the water ain't clean, and here you is over here. Sure, Cassie came through with a nasty receipt, honey. Let's carry on. 78. Yeah, that's what it was at. The first time Mr. Combs hired a man and brought the man to his home in Los Angeles. So Mr. Combs went out and picked out Mr. Magic Stick on his own. Sure. The man, Mr. Combs, and Miss Ventura wore masquerade masks and ingested the candy, the adult candy. Mr. Combs directed Miss Ventura to perform blank acts with this man while Mr. Combs watched them. So he said, I want to watch you take the matchstick. Mr. Combs continued he choked his chicken while he directed Miss Ventura and a man to do specific blank acts. Whew. Now, Sean, how you had got a rise? Sean, the people want to know how you had got a rise over there. And then Carisha, is you over there scouting out ninjas too? Is you doing that too? Baby. Sure. Cassie said, I'm putting cases on all of y'all. All y'all gonna be fighting cases. Sure. 79. The entire encounter lasted multiple days. 80. Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a quote unquote freak off or quote unquote FO. What? Sure. He would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura at random moments that he wanted an FO, and Miss Ventura would follow suit. Ms. Ventura was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of the male workers. Huh. Interesting. 80. At certain points during Miss Ventura and Mr. Combs' relationship, he would insist on an FO weekly. So he said, girl, I need to see the magic stick weekly. Mr. Combs will repeatedly tell Miss Ventura that this practice was quote unquote our thing and quote unquote our secret. It's not your secret no more. Everybody know now. Everybody know, Diddy. Diddy, we want to know, are you still interested? Is this still what you like? Is this still a ting with you? The people want to know. 82. FOs would often take place in hotel suites, include at the Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle. I don't know how to say that first word, so I ain't even going to try it. At Beverly Hills, the London Hotel in Los Angeles, the Intercontinental Century City, the Intercontinental Atlanta, New York City. She named all the places where it went down there. And this may not be all the places. This may just be a few. 83. On one occasion, around 2013, Mr. Combs had an FO set up at the hotel in New York City, after which he was charged with tens of thousands of dollars in damages by the hotel. They paid it. Was it a don't ask what happened, we just gonna pay it and keep it moving? Upon information and belief. 84. Miss Ventura was eventually instructed to use websites and the escort services to find male workers to participate in the FOs. Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura to search for large black magic sticks on the website. What? Now, why it had to be large? Because it ain't like you was the one taking it. So why it had to be large? Now, were the magic sticks just for damn Cassie's pleasure? Or is it still a little bit more searching and is it still questions that need answers? Now, I don't care either way, but I'm just saying if we're gonna tell it, let's tell it all. 85. Sometimes Mr. Combs would pay to fly male workers to his location, including to multiple cities in the United States as well as abroad. He required Miss Ventura and his staff to help him make these arrangements. That's illegal. Because look what's going on. 86. Mr. Combs' assistants would set up the FOs, including by setting up the hotel suites with baby oil. And what the hell is Astroglide? Y'all, I know y'all by now, y'all done already Googled Astroglide. Let me know. Let me know. 87. Mr. Combs always supplied Miss Ventura and the worker with large amounts of drugs before and during the FOs. Miss Ventura was giving all these different types of pills and adult teens. It became commonplace to get IV fluids in the days after an FO to recover from excessive substances pushed upon her. So days on end, you over there hiding the coup de brin against your will, but now you're probably numb to it all, so you have to go with it. Like, it's not what you want to do, but it's what you have to do. Like, you're trapped, you're a prisoner, right? So days and days in, all this stuff getting used and pumped, and it's probably going up the nose, it's probably going in the arm, it's probably getting swallowed, it's probably getting a little bit of smoky smoke over there. And then after that, hell, there's no fluids in your body. So we got to get IV fluid pumps coming all around over here. Girl, water ain't gonna do it. Liquid IV wasn't gonna do it. Drinking liquid IV wasn't gonna do it. Sure. 88. Ms. Ventura was required to dress up in lingerie for an FO, and Mr. Combs insisted she wear white nail polish to contrast her nails with the skin of the black men he hired to have, with her. So he wanted to see the white nail. Let's move along. Diddy, you too much. You've been over there, you peeing on Carisha. She ain't never once said that she liked the ninja peeing on her, but now all of a sudden she love a golden shower. I'm pretty sure she didn't influence some of her followings to get pissed on. Diddy out his body half the time. He don't know. He probably didn't even know he was pissing on Trump. During number 89, during the FO, Mr. Combs would instruct Miss Ventura to pour excessive amounts of oil over herself. 90, Mr. Combs would then instruct Miss Ventura and the worker to speak to each other and then specifically tell Miss Ventura where to touch the worker. Mr. Combs would say things like, grab that magic stick and ask her, how does it feel? As he directed her to perform for him. 91, during the FOs, in addition to directing Miss Ventura and the so-and-so going on, Mr. Combs would use his laptop and tablet to film Miss Ventura having blank with the hired worker. He treated the forced encounter as a personal art project, adjusting the candles he used for lighting to frame the videos he took. 92, while Miss Ventura quickly deleted any photographs or videos, if they were taken on her phone, Mr. Combs repeatedly made clear that he retained many videos of Miss Ventura during FOs. 93, even when she deleted the videos, Mr. Combs would tell Miss Ventura that he was able to recover deleted videos from her devices. On one occasion, he sat next to her on a flight and made her watch a video she thought she had deleted, reinforcing her inability to escape an immense power he had over her. 94, Mr. Combs would pay the workers a few $1,000s for their services. 95, during some FOs, Mr. Combs would become extremely intoxicated and would hit Miss Ventura in front of the workers. 96, Miss Ventura was repulsed by Mr. Combs' demands, but between the physical beatings and recognizing his incredible power and incredible temper, Miss Ventura became petrified of her partner and boss and felt she could not say no. 97, he even would present her with lavish gifts prior to or in the middle of these FOs, seemingly acknowledging the ways in which these forced encounters constituted work for Miss Ventura and that he needed to compensate her for this work. At one point, he had given her so many designer bracelets for FOs and immediately following his brutal beatings that she had felt she was shackled to his presence. Well, she was shackled by his presence, 98, frequently her anxiety before an FO would become so great that she would become physically ill, sometimes to the point of vomiting. While kneeling over the toilet, Mr. Combs would shame her into performing for him, eventually forcing her to get up and proceed with the encounter. 99, she knew firsthand that telling Mr. Combs that she did not want to engage in FOs was met with anger and violence. 100. In addition, any suggestion that Miss Ventura would refuse the FO or otherwise report Mr. Combs' abuse was met with ultimatums by Mr. Combs, who would say that Miss Ventura could not go to the police because she had, quote unquote, a lot to lose. 101. Around August 2015, for example, in the middle of the surprise birthday dinner for Miss Ventura's 29th birthday, Mr. Combs insisted that Miss Ventura leave the party to go to the hotel for FO. She expressed that she did not want to go. Mr. Combs had Miss Ventura cornered by his security staff in order to force her to leave with him. 102. After this FO, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura went back to the hotel room that Miss Ventura was staying in, where some of Miss Ventura's friends were already hanging out. Mr. Combs was severely intoxicated and at one point during the night picked up one of Miss Ventura's friends like a child and dangled the friend over the balcony of the 17th floor suite. Miss Ventura and her friends were scared by Mr. Combs' erratic behavior, but Miss Ventura was heavily sedated because of the adult candy she had taken, because she had participated in FO. So therefore, she was unable to respond to Mr. Combs' terrifying behavior. But even if that wasn't the case, would she have even been able to stop him from doing what he was doing and dangling a friend over the rail of the balcony? Even if she wasn't sedated, because she couldn't really protect herself. So I don't see how she was able to protect her friend. But I guess, she probably would have tried her hardest, I'm sure. 103. The FOs became work for Miss Ventura, and despite her protestations, Mr. Combs insisted on these intricately staged and forced encounters between Miss Ventura and the various male workers. Okay, Miss Ventura tries to escape Mr. Combs' abuse. 104. Anytime she tried to create distance between her and Mr. Combs, he used his networks to find her and convince her to return to his abuse. 105. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs sent his employees to lure Miss Ventura back. 106. In 2011, during a rough patch in Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura's relationship, Miss Ventura had a brief relationship with musician Kid Cudi. 107. When Mr. Combs returned, 107. When Mr. Combs returned from the trip, he demanded, hold on, y'all, what did I leave off? When Mr. Combs returned from the trip, he demanded another FO of Miss Ventura. And of course, she said, yeah, because what was she going to say? Well, I'm sorry. She demanded another FO. He did. Mr. Combs did. 108. Excuse me, y'all. 108. During the FO, Mr. Combs found Miss Ventura's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi and became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunged at Miss Ventura. 109. Miss Ventura ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Mr. Combs' wrath. Soon thereafter, one of Mr. Combs' staff members told Miss Ventura that he needed to, quote unquote, just talk to Mr. Combs, even though Mr. Combs was enraged. 110. Feeling like she could not escape Mr. Combs and his network enforcers, Miss Ventura returned to Mr. Combs. He hit her several times and then kicked her in the back as she tried to run out the door. 111. She went to her parents' home in Connecticut where her mother took pictures of the bruises Mr. Combs had left on Miss Ventura's body. 112. In February 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. Well, he said he was going to do it. 113. Miss Ventura was terrified as she began to fully comprehend what Mr. Combs was both willing and able to do to those he believed had slighted him. 114. In 2015, Miss Ventura spoke to a popular music manager at an after party in a hotel suite in Las Vegas. Mr. Combs saw her speaking to the manager and sternly told her to step into the bedroom adjoining the suite. In the bedroom, Mr. Combs beat Miss Ventura severely. She ran from corner to corner of the room, trying to avoid Mr. Combs beating and kicking. When she tried to lock herself in the bathroom, he pushed through and punched and kicked her while she curled up under the toilet. Her screams were drowned by the loud music playing in the outside area of the hotel suite. 115, when Mr. Combs, head of security and assistant, saw Miss Ventura after the assault, they began to cry. Miss Ventura had 2 black eyes, a bursted and bruised lip, a huge welt on her forehead. 116, upon seeing the results of the vicious attack, Mr. Combs immediately took steps to conceal his wrongdoings. 117, he forced Miss Ventura to stay at his home in Holmby Hills along with one of his sons. While there, Mr. Combs FaceTime Miss Ventura stating, "You got to go up and put more makeup on. My son can't see you like that." So he was worried about the son seeing how she was looking. So he was still trying to hide his devilish ways. He didn't want his son to see it. That's interesting. 118. And she did put on makeup per Mr. Combs' demands. Miss Ventura felt that she had no choice but to obey the abuser, even though the security guards, assistants, and friends saw the situation she was in. No one dared to speak to help her or speak up on her behalf. She, therefore, had no choice but to remain subservient. She had no choice. 119. Later in 2015, while shooting a movie in Cape Town, South Africa, Miss Ventura began a flirtatious relationship with an actor. She spent New Year's Eve with this actor, but Mr. Combs soon found out. Mr. Combs called the actor and threatened him. The actor proceeded to call Miss Ventura and tell her, "You really need to call Mr. Combs." 120. In or around March 2016, during an FO, Mr. Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye. 112. After he fell asleep, Miss Ventura tried to leave the hotel, but as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her. He grabbed at her. He then took glass vases that were in the hallway and threw them at her, causing glass to crash around them as she ran to the elevator to escape. She managed 122. She managed to get into the elevator. And when she got to the lobby, quickly took a cab to her apartment. Upon realizing that her running away would cause Mr. Combs to be even angrier with her, she was completely stuck in his vicious cycle of abuse. Miss Ventura returned to the hotel with the intention of apologizing for running away from her abuser. When she returned, hotel staff security urged her to get back in the cab and go to her apartment, suggesting that they had seen the security footage showing Mr. Combs beating Miss Ventura and throwing glass at her in the hotel hallway. So they said, "No, don't come back over here trying to clean it up. We already seen what we seen. This is your time for you to get away and go help yourself," because we seen what we seen. And they were, if you ask me, in my opinion, they were looking out for her. They was telling her, "Don't come back up here. We seen how enraged he is, how much of a monster he is. We don't want you to throw yourself back in there, at least not on our time. Don't do it." Number 123, upon information and belief, Mr. Combs paid $50,000 to the to the hotel for the hallway security footage from that evening. He said everything got a dollar price. Name your dollar. Everything costs. Any and everything can be paid for. So $50,000. And he got the security footage for the evening. 124, from that evening. 124. After this, Miss Ventura left her home in Comstock and went to hide away at a friend's house in Florida. James Cruz, the president of Bad Boy Management, he tracked Miss Ventura down and told her that her single would not be released if she didn't answer Mr. Combs' phone calls. 125, a woman who worked at Sony Music Records reached out to her with a similar ultimatum concerning her record. 126. Incredibly, Mr. Combs even convinced one of his attorneys to call Miss Ventura at this time. This lawyer told Miss Ventura that, quote unquote, "It's in your best interest to call Mr. Combs back." Baby, they all on payroll over there. Do you hear me? 127. Each time Miss Ventura tried to run away, Mr. Combs and his powerful network would force her back to him. 128. Mr. Combs' tight hold over her life and irreparably damaged her friendships. Around 2018, when Miss Ventura was with her friend Carrie Morgan in her house, Mr. Combs used his key to Miss Ventura's house and came in unannounced. He and Miss Morgan had an altercation during which Mr. Combs threw a hanger at Miss Morgan. Upon information and belief, the incident resulted in a settlement between Mr. Combs and Miss Morgan, and Miss Ventura ended up paying Miss Morgan additional funds in an attempt to resolve the dispute between her close friends and her abusive, controlling boyfriend. The relationship between Miss Ventura and Miss Morgan has been strained since this time. 129. Seeing the extreme measures Mr. Combs took to keep a tight hold on Miss Ventura and isolate her from the support network, and having experienced and repercussions of rejecting his demands, Miss Ventura felt that saying no to Mr. Combs would cost her something: her family, her friends, her career, or even her life. Sure. So y'all, we're gonna stop sharing it right here, right there. I will pick it back up and go over the remaining part of these documents. So thank you all for tuning in and listening to everything that we've read. It's a lot. It's a lot of words. It's a lot of everything. It's a lot to And for us just to read, if it's a lot for us to read and imagine, just for us to imagine, then just imagine how Cassie felt over there. And can we're gonna have to get into later about how many people probably gonna start coming out the woodworks and all of the things. But I hope y'all enjoyed my commentary on this, and I will be coming back to wrap up the remaining documents. So y'all, if you like it, if you like this commentary, please subscribe to the kingdom. Y'all like it, love it, sub it. Use your magnies, drop down in the comments, and I'm gonna chop it up with y'all on the next one.